talk about the New England Patriots because just a couple months ago, they fired Coach Mayo after they defeated the Buffalo Bills. You had Robert Kraft. He did not care about that game. He saw that Coach Mayo was not going to be the right head coach long term. And I will say this about Coach Mayo. Hopefully one day he can be a successful head coach in the NFL or just have a place in the NFL because they did do him dirty in this standpoint. He was not ready to be a head coach. They were depending on Josh McDaniels to hopefully go out there and take the reins from Bill Belichick when he finally decided to step away or if things just went sour with him and Robert Kraft. Coach Belichick was not going to coach forever. But things went very dry with Coach Belichick. It was time to move on. Josh McDaniels, he accepted the head coaching gig with the Las Vegas Raiders just a couple years before. He was a terrible head coach with the Raiders. They had to place someone in this spot, and it ended up being Coach Mayo. And the first season was terrible. The offense did not look good. Your defense could not stop the run. He could not manage a game. And he did not have the right talent on the field. And they dealt with a lot of injuries. But you could see that Coach Mayo, he was in over his head. He never called defensive plays in the NFL. And they fired him. They let him go. And you bring over Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel was a very successful head coach for many years with the Tennessee Titans. He got them to the NFL playoffs many times. He helped turn around their career with Ryan Tannehill. Now, he did have Arthur Smith as his offensive coordinator. Arthur Smith was not a great offensive coordinator, but they did the little things well. They ran the football at a high clip with Derrick Henry. And what did they do? They built the trenches on the offensive side of the ball and on the defensive side of the ball. And I'm saying all of that to lead up to this. Yesterday in free agency, they went out there and they brought in Harold Landry, a very good pass rusher from the Tennessee Titans. That's why I bring up that connection. Mike Vrabel was there when Harold Landry was drafted. Harold Landry was a very good pass rusher every single year with the Tennessee Titans. One year, he did miss an entire season because he tore his ACL in training camp. But he's coming off a very good season where he just had 9 sacks. And he will automatically bring a boost to the Patriots defense right now. What is the one thing the Patriots have struggled with over the last few years? Getting to the quarterback on a consistent basis. You did have Matthew Judon, but he tore his biceps. Things went sour with him and Coach Mayo. They traded him to the Atlanta Falcons, and it left a huge hole at the pass rushing position. So you go out there, you bring in Harold Landry. Mike Vrabel, he knows how to use him. He knows where to move him around, where to put him in certain situations to put the pressure on the opposing quarterback, where to line him up in certain formations to go out there and basically bring down the running back also, because this rushing defense was a major problem. But it's more than just Harold Landry. You bring in Milton Williams. Now, this is the weirdest deal so far. Usually every other year, you'll have a guy that comes out, he agrees to terms with one team, but then he'll switch back and say, you know what, this is part of my negotiation tactic. I'm going to go off with this other team. That is what he did with the Carolina Panthers. He never signed the deal. None of these deals are being signed. Now, Harold Landry, his is a bit different because he got cut. You cannot officially sign players until Wednesday. So that deal with Milton Williams, he's agreed to that deal. He can still back off of that deal. But it seems like he's going to sign with the New England Patriots on Wednesday. This is a great pickup because he had 5 sacks on the year. Is he amazing against the run? No. But you have Christian Barmore who will play alongside him. Now, Christian Barmore, when he's fully healthy, he's one of the best defensive tackles in the game. He can push the pocket. He can stop the run. Having him and Milton Williams together, that's going to be a very good 1-2 punch in the middle of your defense. The problem that I have with Christian Barmore, I'm concerned about those blood clots. He was able to come back and play a couple of games this year, but he didn't seem right. Hopefully those blood clots can leave him alone, because anytime I think of blood clots with a professional athlete, I always think of Chris Bosh, former basketball player. He was a very good player for Toronto Raptors and for the Miami Heat. He had to retire because of those blood clots. But if Christian Barmore can stay healthy, we're talking about a very good pass rushing trio with him, Harold Landry, and Milton Williams. Then you go and backdoor to help out your defense even more. You bring in Carlton Davis at the cornerback position. Now, for the ones that don't know, if you don't watch the New England Patriots, because it's a lot of fans, they've tuned out of the Patriots since Tom Brady left to go to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Christian Gonzalez is a top 3 cornerback. He got injured a few years back when Matthew Judon tore his biceps. He tore his labrum. But before he tore his labrum in his rookie season, He was on pace to go out there and win Defensive Rookie of the Year. That is how phenomenal he was. He is a great cornerback. When you think about cornerbacks that go out there and just shut out the other wide receiver, that is what he does. And never expect for him to go out there and get a lot of interceptions on the season. He only had 2 this year and 11 pass deflections. And the reason why I say don't expect for him to get those many interceptions, you're not going to test him that much. He's the definition of a blanket corner. So adding in Carlton Davis is a great move. The one caveat with Carlton Davis, he struggled with injuries in the past. He's been a very good cornerback with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, was a very good cornerback with the Detroit Lions, but those injuries have held him back. If he can give you 70% or 80% on the season and he could play in the NFL playoffs if the Patriots make the playoffs, that's a great signing. And I'm not saying that these moves are going to make the Patriots a contender. They're still a ways off right now, in my opinion. But you're bringing in veterans to help out your defense because this defense was so bad this previous season against the run, and they just did not have that aggressiveness. Even when Bill Belichick, when the offense had Matt Patricia calling plays, and their offense was one of the worst offenses in the NFL, their defense was still top 10. And that was not the case with Coach Mayo. And Coach Mayo is a former linebacker for the Patriots. And he was a very good player when he was playing on this roster. But Bill Belichick, one of the best coaches of all time, what was he known for? Defense is stopping the run. What is Mike Vrabel known for? No nonsense. Go out there, be aggressive, control the line of scrimmage, stop the run. You did more than just adding in those veteran players. You also bring in Robert Spillane, who was a very good linebacker for the Steelers. He was very underrated with that team. He goes over to the Las Vegas Raiders. He looks even better. With the Raiders this previous season, he led the team in total tackles. He had 91 solo tackles on the year, 2 sacks, 2 interceptions. Against the pass, he's not the best, but he's going to go out there, he's going to stop the run. And you have to do that in this division. The New York Jets, they now have a scrambling quarterback in Justin Fields. The way that Mike Vrabel prepares against scrambling quarterbacks is one of the best in the NFL that I have seen since I have been paying attention to the game. He always has a good game plan against scrambling quarterbacks. Look at what he did against Lamar Jackson many years ago in that playoff game. So you have these guys that can go out there, control the line of scrimmage, they'll stop the run against Justin Fields and Breece Hall. You have the MVP in your division, Josh Allen. What does he like to do? Run the football, and they have James Cook, one of the best running backs in the NFL. And you look at the Miami Dolphins, they have a lot of speed with their team. Robert Spillane, he's not a fast linebacker. You don't think of him being in the same conversation with Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen in terms of his speed, but he's a sound tackler. If he can get his hands on you more times than not, he's going to bring you down to the ground. And you have other pieces around these defensive players, such as Jawan Bentley, who is a very solid player. Kyle Duggar on the back end of this defense. He can tackle. He can cover tight ends. I like him a lot. Jabril Peppers. This is a man that was dealing with injuries this year, and he had an off-the-field incident. But before he had that incident, Jabril Peppers was a consistent starting safety for the Patriots, and he's a very good football player. So in the span of just a couple of hours, you have basically added in a lot of veteran presence to your defense. And on paper, they should be able to go out there, stop the run, stop those big wide receivers with Christian Gonzalez, stop the number 2 shifty wide receivers with someone like a Carlton Davis, and you have Marcus Jones. This is a very good situation with the Patriots right now. And it's going to take some time to turn this thing around. I'm not saying the Patriots are going to go back to their winning days like how they were with Rob Gronkowski, Julian Edelman, Danny Amendola, and Tom Brady. But these are the right steps that you need to take in terms of making yourself competitive again in this division. Now, when you look at the offense, they offer Chris Godwin a lot of money. And I know right now, if you're a Patriots fan, you're frustrated. You look at DK Metcalf, he goes to the Steelers. You may say, hey, why can't my team do that? You look at Chris Godwin. Why does he want to go back to the Buccaneers? His wife loves Tampa Bay. And he has been a Buccaneer for life, and he's going to retire a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. I can't hate on that. He took a pay cut to stay with his home team. Even Mike Evans was saying, hey, we can restructure my deal to bring back my friend. So the general manager, he did everything possible to try to bring him in. They even had discussions about bringing in DK Metcalf, but they did not want to give up that draft capital because you still have other parts of this offense that needs fixing. The offensive line is a major issue. And when you have a head coach in Mike Vrabel who is bringing back Josh McDaniels to be the offensive coordinator, they want to focus in the offensive line. If you have the right pieces from left tackle to right tackle, then you worry about the skill positions. They do need to bring in some wide receivers. Don't get me wrong. Kayshawn right now is their best wide receiver. Kendrick Bourne, I think you can move off of Kendrick Bourne. You have DeMario Douglas. You can say that he's the best wide receiver. He has 621 receiving yards, 3 receiving touchdowns. I wouldn't argue with you. And you did draft Jalen Polk in the second round. They have been missing on wide receivers for the last 5 to 8 years, it seems like. Bill Belichick drafting N'Keal Harry in the first round. Let's not forget that. They have not been able to draft the skill position down to the T. So that does concern me about this draft class. But if you bring in the right pieces on the offensive line, they brought in Morgan Moses, by the way. You take him away from the Jets, a division rival. You put him in at right tackle to help out Drake Maye. You give him enough time, he can scramble around. He can find an open wide receiver. Let these wide receivers develop. Let Kayshawn develop. Let Jalen Polk develop. I hope that he can develop because I am worried about him. It was a hard time for him to find his way on the field. And the wide receiving core was one of the worst wide receiving cores in the NFL. Hopefully, he can pan out. And if that doesn't work out for you, you still have your first round pick. You can go with Will Campbell from LSU if he's on the board, or you can go with Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter would be phenomenal. I look at Travis Hunter as a player. I think that he can play both sides. But with the Patriots, mainly with how they're set up right now with Carlton Davis, you should have Travis Hunter play wide receiver most of the time because that's where you need help at the most. So adding in someone like Morgan Moses that's going to help out. You have David Andrews at the center position. You still have Cole Strange. You have Vidarian Lowe at the left tackle position. He should not be a starting tackle. He's more so of a swing tackle as a backup guy. And I look at this wide receiving draft class. It's not the deepest, but you can find a player in the second and third round that could possibly help you out. I look at the running back position. Ramondre Stevenson, when I look at his base numbers, he's a solid running back, but it's a fumbling issue that he has. And you even saw this with Coach Mayo. Coach Mayo came out and he'll take a complete 180 on his stance. He'll come out and he'll say, you know what, we're not going to start him this week, and they'll just start him the next week. He was basically lying to the media, trying to be Bill Belichick. He did not do a great job of being that. But it was some games this year to where they took that fumbling problem very seriously. And they say, you know what, Ramondre, we're not going to play you in this game. We're not going to give you those many snaps. Let's go with Antonio Gibson. Draft a running back in this draft class. This is a deep draft class for running backs. Get your running back in the 4th or the 5th round, hell, maybe even the 3rd round, and put him alongside Drake Maye. Build this offensive line and put another wide receiver, if you can, around Drake Maye. But when I look at that system with Josh McDaniels, because he was so good with Tom Brady, and I understand Tom Brady made everyone look good. He made Byron Leftwich look good. Byron Leftwich is not even in the NFL as a play caller anymore. That is how great Tom Brady was. But when I look at Josh McDaniels, he made the NFL playoffs with Mac Jones his rookie season when he was the offensive coordinator. And Mac Jones fell off a cliff ever since then because you had Matt Patricia calling plays. He dealt with injuries. A lot of those interceptions, even the coach couldn't fix that. I look at Drake Maye. It's the arm power. It's the size and the speed. He really does remind me of Josh Allen. I think that he could be a special player. But the Patriots, they have to get this right. I like Mike Vrabel as a head coach. I like Josh McDaniels as an offensive play caller. As a head coach, I hate him. As long as he's working with offense, you're going to be fine. And he will find a way to scheme these wide receivers open. Because I look at the NFL now, you have a bunch of guys you just tell them, just go get open. You have a lot of old school coordinators. Hell, even Sean McVay as the head coach and Kyle Shanahan, they do this all the time. They have great wide receivers, but they scheme them open. They stack them on top of each other. They do some misdirection. Josh McDaniels can do that. So if you're worried about the wide receiving position, and I understand that, still, go out there, build the trenches, let these guys develop. You're not going to win a Super Bowl in the next year or two. But you're doing the right things right now. You have the quarterback in place. Take care of him. Put the talent around him. But I like what they're doing in free agency. And you're not going out there and you're not spending money on to bring in 2 tight ends like Bill Belichick did. Bill Belichick really lost his mind towards the end of the tenure with the Patriots when Tom Brady walked away. Because I'll never forget the fact that he went out there, he brought in Hunter Henry, he brought in Jonnu Smith. And they had no idea how to use Jonnu Smith. And I will say this, Hunter Henry is a solid veteran to still have around. You can still draft your tight end. This is a deep tight end draft class also. So you can still make movements in the NFL draft. So if free agency is not going to your liking, if you're a Patriots fan, please just be patient. You won 6 Super Bowls. You dominated the NFL over the last 20 years. Just have a little bit of patience. And if you're a Patriots fan, you're thinking about just jumping off right now, go watch some basketball with the Boston Celtics and come right back to the Patriots. They're going to be okay. I like the general manager. I like the new direction. I really wish that Coach Mayo would have worked out. But unfortunately, that's how it goes in the NFL. It's a business. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you feel about the Patriots so far in free agency, and are they putting the right pieces around Drake Maye? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, we want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless.